We're at the Pocket Ranch here in Wallowa County, Oregon. We have known about this property for many, many years, and 12 years ago we decided we'd come in and take a crack at it, put it together. We had to put together 3 different pieces of property. We knew that we were looking at some serious overgrazing, bad fencing, all of these things, which we've taken care of in the last 12 years, which opened up the wildlife corridors, made it a real interesting place for the elk. Well, one of the first things we addressed was taking out all the derelict fencing. 90% of it was already fallen down in ill repair, but it was still bad enough where it was blocking off a lot of the wildlife corridors. And the wildlife corridors were the big thing we wanted to open up. So we went to work, took out miles and miles of fencing. In the years prior to us owning it, I knew of 6 camps, at least 6 camps up top, which were parked right in the middle of the wildlife corridors. Consequently, there wasn't any elk on the ranch to speak of. There was approximately a dozen home places, old line shacks. All of them were in just total disrepair. On top of that, 2 or 3 barns at some of the old homesteads. I had a scrapper come in and work for a week hauling off from one area. And right now there's only one place on the whole ranch, and that's our home place right here. And then in this last year, we've got to see cows calve out on the ranch. Bulls come in and hide on the ranch. They come in here and hide when they get into their bachelor herds, and then they hide when they've lost their antlers. It's 12 years of hard work. We've seen the elk population come through here the way it should be, in a natural way, natural habitat. This is a big branch antler 6-point bull that we found today, just the broken top half of his antler. One of the forks is broken here, and it was broken off at the main part of his antler. This tells you that you have plenty of elk, plenty of big elk that are rutting on your property. When you find broken antlers like this just shows you how healthy and vigorous, what a wonderful place it is for the elk year-round, not just during the rut, but this shows you that they're there. So our goal has been to have a nice ranch for the wildlife, protect the land, and have a good place for grazing cattle, because they're part of your overall grazing program, and if you work them right, it works in the elk's favor. We have 25 flowing year-round springs. We have about 35 ponds, active ponds. I love the aspen trees. We have a lot of little aspen groves, a lot of new aspen coming. Other things that I appreciate is the view. And then where we have the home place here, we're underneath the snow line, and I really appreciate that.
I love the seclusion of it. I just feel, I enjoy all of God's creation here. I love the wildlife. The quail come and talk to me. We love it. Oh, we have a little lawn bot that mows our lawn, and we call her Clipper. And she keeps our lawn just absolutely perfect. Looks like a golf course all the time, and all we do is sit out there, and all of our guests really enjoy sitting there and watching Clipper with us.
When you're up on top, particularly on a clear day, you can look over and see the high Wallowas, and up in the distance you can see some of the peaks in Washington, and then the Seven Devils in Idaho. They just shine at times. This morning we're up there and saw those bulls pecking around on the hillside in the timber. That's looking at 12 years of hard work coming to fruition. And that brings tears to my eyes.
One of the neat things about the Northwest, and especially Oregon and Washington, is that the land values are where Colorado and Montana were 25 years ago. People are just now starting to realize how beautiful Oregon and Washington is and the value that you can get for your dollar. The Pocket Ranch is not only a beautiful place in northeastern Oregon outside of the town of Joseph, it's also been conserved and turned back to the wildlife. Bruce and Venice Hampton, the owners of the Pocket Ranch, are absolutely salt of the earth kind of people. I've gotten to know them over several years. Bruce and Venice have worked for 13 years to remove the influence of man on the land by removing buildings and fences and improving the habitat strictly for the wildlife. The amount of wildlife on the property is it's unbelievable. They've really sunk their heart and soul into the property, have tried their very best to relinquish the property back to the way it used to be. There are numerous springs, creeks, and ponds on the property to the point of water is not an issue anywhere on the property and is evenly distributed through the use of storage ponds and also live springs that have been cleaned but not developed. There's one portion of the property that's pretty unique. On the road up to the top of the ranch, there's exposed on one side volcanic ash, and the deer and elk absolutely love it. You'll find them there all the time. They come and eat the ash. You can even see their teeth marks in the side of the bank. The most effective way to conserve private land is through a conservation easement. There's approximately 460 conservation easements across the state of Oregon. About 190 of them are held by land trusts and the remainder by the government, mainly NRCS. That equates to about 150,000 acres that are in conservation easement in Oregon at this time. A conservation easement is one of the most common forms of preserving special lands. It's negotiated between the landowner and land trusts to limit the commercial, industrial, and residential uses of the land. Because the property rights that are relinquished by the landowner have value, then they come with a substantial tax deduction from both the state and federal governments. Conservation easements are recorded with the county and show up on any deeds. The Pocket Ranch is ideal for conservation easement because it butts up against the Zumwalt Prairie on the north end of the property. The Zumwalt Prairie is owned by the Nature Conservancy. It's 50,000 acres of land that's been set aside. I have one of the greatest jobs in the world. I tell everybody I get paid very well to see all these beautiful properties, spend my time showing these properties. I help people to fall in love with some of the properties they've purchased and have seen the extreme effect it's had on them and their children and grandchildren over the years. I really enjoy what I do. I think one of the things that's so effective about Landleader is that all the owners are selling real estate every day. They're in the trenches every day. None of us are sitting behind a big desk and haven't been exposed to the outside real estate world in the last 15 years. We're all out there working hard to sell land, and I think that's a big plus of what makes Landleader so strong today.
We have many mountain quail all around our home here, and they choose a little spot right up generally by the woodshed where they nest. And it's really neat because lots of times I'll be at the back door and I'll start talking, and by golly, they'll come right up to the window almost, and as if they hear me, and they know me, I guess. They're used to our voices because we sit out on the porch many evenings, and they just walk right by us. It's really fun.
One of the things that Bruce and Denise have done on the ranch is help some terminally ill patients with their final wishes that they'd always wanted to hunt elk. Hunting elk on the Pocket Ranch is so exciting. It's designed really well for all aspects of hunting, whether it's long distance shooting, whether it's young kids, even all the way to bow hunting. The ranch covers it all.
One of the best things that's come into our lives in the last 2 years, we've been able to give back. 2 years ago, we had a young lady that had multiple health problems, and her desire was to get a nice bull, and we were able to accomplish that. This last year, we had a young man that was dying of brain cancer, and he's not got long to go, and his dying wish was to have him and a 6-year-old together when he'd get the first bull of his life, and we were able to accomplish that, and that really touched our hearts. Tim and I hit it off years ago. He came by and we hit it off, so when I really decided to get serious, we wanted Land Leader and Tim's expertise, the coverage that he has, and the honesty that he's shown over the years that we've known him. He'll tell you the same old elk story or what have you, and by golly, it's the same year after year, so we know he's pretty straight. We've decided to sell because we are getting a little bit older. We, of course, are going to help fund our retirement, and we want to work with our charities that we've worked with over the years, and we'll be able to do it at a much greater pace.
I'll really miss living here because it's a part of our heart. So it's really going to be hard to leave.